All right. Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Draglist Live, where we bench race with the world's top drag racers. My name's Bill Pratt. It's awesome to be with you tonight, as always, because tonight we have Matt Cummings, the brand new driver, the Randy Meyer Racing A fuel dragster on the NHRA Tour. Can't wait to talk to Randy. Before we do, let's bring in John real quick. John, how are you doing, sir?
They're doing great here, BP, and howdy from Houston, everybody. Please join us on the live chat. I'll take notes and I'll pass your questions and comments along to BP and Matt.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And folks, click the little like down below, the little thumbs up, the little share. Let your friends know we have Matt here live. And you can also what's that word? You can subscribe to the channel by clicking that little dude in the
Pass
bottom.
your questions and comments along to BP.
Whoops, there we go. Let's mute that and we'll get ready to go. So to prove we got him, let's bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Cummings, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Bill. Nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me onto the drag list.
So great to have you on. And you know, I've been following you in the A-Field Dragster. You've been flying for years, a solid decade or more. We'll talk all about that, but let's start where we are right now. Tell us about Gainesville yesterday. What was happening out there in that misty day?
Yeah, that was a long weekend. We started off on Thursday, and so we got down to down the track on Thursday evening with a really solid 525, and we felt pretty good about that. And we knew we had a couple more chances to get to improve on that. So conditions were really good on the track. Randy said that we're going to try something here, and figuring that we had three chances at it. So our middle chance there, we went up there and we took the tire off on Saturday morning and on Friday morning, and then we thought, well, we got Friday night, and it just ran too late. So that run got bumped. It just ran too late. There was too many oil downs and problems with the pro cars. So then we still felt really good about everything, and figuring we're going to come back on Saturday. I got a good night of rest, good dinner, good night of rest, and then came back on Saturday morning, not expecting that we were going to have rain at all that day, really. But it was coming our way, and then sure enough, it just we got rained out the whole Saturday. We couldn't get anything in, so that was a disappointment. And then Sunday looked just as bad, and we got to the track on time. Randy has us there 3 hours before go time, so I was on time, and and we were all ready to go, had the car ready, and then it just started raining. Right after Trip Tatum tagged the wall there, I got there, and so then it just kept on raining. Then we had and it didn't look good. It looked like we were looking at the backup plan. What's the backup plan? Where are we going to race at? So they were saying Charlotte, we'll continue this race at Charlotte if we have to. So then the clouds lifted, and they had the problem with the electricity, but anyway, they all started racing, and then they called us for round one, and we got up there, and so that started getting to be a lot of fun then. So we didn't expect it, and you had to get ready. You had to be amped up. And my first round, I had to go against John Asherman again, and he whipped me the week before. So he's a really good driver. He really knows how to handle a car. He's good on reaction time, and so I knew I had to be ready for him. And lucky for me, I got by him. I had a good reaction time. Randy put a really good tune-up in the car, and nice safe tune-up, and we got down the track and we were able to get around John. So at that point, I didn't know if we were going to race again that day.
Mm-hmm.
But we did a quick turnaround, and then I saw my next opponent was going to be Melanie Johnson, and she was actually in my old car, the green car. I know it doesn't look like a green car now because they put a different cover on there, but I know that car, and I know that car is fast. So, Randy put a nice tune-up into my car, and they called us up to go ahead up there, and I knew I had to be on my best performance up there, and I was hoping that the green car wouldn't go as fast as it usually does, but it did. It went I think it did a 22 down the track, and I was lucky enough to get around her. I just had a great reaction time. I was really concentrating on getting better in the car, getting more comfortable in the car, and I was able to squeak around her. So that was really lucky. So then, it looked really good for round three, and we get the car ready, and we turn it around in about 25 minutes. And Randy said, he looked at me and he goes, "You got to get your stuff on. We're waiting for us up there." So I get my my suit on and get in the car, and they pulled me up there, and then Jackie made her run in front of us, her bye run, and then right after her bye run, they actually told us to start up. We started up the cars, and then that's when the rain started.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we didn't get that next pass in. I was ready for it. I was amped up. I was feeling good. I'm feeling comfortable in the car. It does take maybe I take a little bit longer than other guys, but it's 5-6 runs down the track for me where before I can start really feeling like the car is a little bigger inside. I feel more comfortable in it. I know how the brake is working. Where the clutch pedal is. Randy's car, when I got in, it was opposite of everything, the way the shifter works.
Right.
His routine is totally different. So I had to learn that. He's got a lot more sensors in the car that he's got the camera in the car too, watching what you're doing. So I wasn't used to that. So all those things, you get a little, you're just not as comfortable. And then finally, when I went into eliminations, I said, whatever I did before, that's what I'm going to do now. Whatever got me here, I'm not going to worry about all the little things. How much brake pressure do I have staging up and all that stuff. I'm just going to go out there and try my best. So, and that's where we did. So they started us up, and then they had to shut us right off. We had rain down at the top end, and actually Randy was ready to go. He said, he's raced in weather worse than this. It's not that bad. I think we can do it. And I said, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to take your car down this track, Randy. So Mary was right there. She looked at me, and I think she nodded. Yeah, that's not a good idea. So and then it started raining a lot harder. So I guess we're going to race in Carolina. I think that's the plan. That's the plan.
So what do we got? Semis on, right? Is that where
Semis on. So Jackie already made her pass. She rattled the tires. I think she went like a 10-second run. So we don't know who's going to have lane choice, but we should be able to outrun a 10-second run. Whoever is on our side, right? But we never know. We never know. So
that's really great. I'm glad hats off to the NHRA for getting that thing in. I mean, as far as they did, they got the pro
that's what I
class in.
said. Exactly what I said. I said I can't believe they got all the pros in and done.
Amazing.
And even the pictures. Antron Brown was he already got his pictures in. Yeah. So.
They got it done. They know it's important, I guess. And glad to hear Trip Tatum, who's my local boy here in Maryland. Glad to hear he's okay after bumping the walls a couple times. And congrats, by the way, on that 368 that he ran. Number 2 qualifier, pretty damn impressive.
And then he lifted a little bit early. I think he got written up for lifting a little early, right?
Is that right?
I don't know. That was on his Facebook there.
So great. Well, let's see where we are. Let's, John, do we have anyone to check in with out there on the chat line?
Yes, we got people from coast to coast here tonight. Randy Johnston in, I believe Randy's in Northern California. He says, hello all, great guest, and so much
Thanks.
going on, especially with IHRA. Looks like
Yeah.
IHRA is really coming up these days. And Kay Thurkelson says, good evening, gents. Rodney
Okay.
Potter is with us, and he says, hi, guys. Rob McCabe says he's back here again. He says, I'm just coming through for a bit while I'm working on updating the drag list entries.
He's been working hard. Lots to do, lots to add.
And that's true. And Rich Panicaro in New Jersey says, good evening, everybody. And my comment is it's a good call to hold off on that round, Matt. If you have a premonition, it's best to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So I've announced races where you took off and it was fine, and by halfway down the track, man, it just started coming down. It's
And Jack Red just dropped in and he says, hi, everyone.
hey,
And
Jack.
Rob McCabe says, yeah, definitely. I know it does put a hold on a lot of my updating, but I'm going to have to wait until Charlotte to get things done.
Yeah, you see what's important to us, the stat guys, whoever.
Yeah.
Great guys. Thank you, John. Thanks everybody. Welcome. And so Matt, we're as we got you on the drag list, and I went back, was looking at your entries way back to 2011 at least, in
Yeah.
that in that top alcohol dragster, and driving for old Stan Stripe, who
Yeah.
went down to Florida out of, I remember we have him way back to I guess the 80s maybe. He had this
Yeah.
old white Corvette top alcohol car called Radolution. And I guess he moved to Florida and built an Alky dragster. So tell us about meeting Stan and getting that ride.
Yeah, so I got my license out of Frank Hawley's drag racing school. And at the time, he made you drive a alcohol dragster. He said, I think that's the best way for you to learn. You'll learn everything. You got the clutch, you got a shift. There's a lot going on in there. And if you can do that, you're going to get a license. So my good friend George Ebel and we went to Frank's school, and we went to Atlanta, and it was a pretty big challenge. We both were racing super comp and bracket cars. Um, they were like high sevens in the quarter mile, and we said, okay, yeah, we're ready for this. We're gonna go down there for Frank's school and do this. And so we go to Atlanta, and it was super super hot. I think the track temperature was 140 or 150,
Wow.
and we really didn't know what to expect. It was a pretty big challenge. Um, so George and I, we you know, it was it was a big challenge. And then every run, after you finish with every run, you got to go into the schoolhouse with Frank. He's the teacher, and you just open yourself up for everything that you did wrong, and it's a pretty brutal day. So we did that for 2 days, and I got 6 runs in. We both got 6 passes in. I was 1 run short. And then I finished it off in Gainesville. So when we were in the room and just talking, he said, "What do you plan on doing with your license if you get the license?" And George said, "I just wanted to have the challenge." And I said, "Well, I'd like to do this. I'd like to try this. How much does it cost? So, how can I do this? Who offers this to?" And he gave me a couple ideas, and he goes, "I got some people. I'll reach out to them." So anyway, Stan had been calling into his school to see if there was anybody that he would, for one, that was good enough to drive the alcohol with the clutch and all that, and then somebody you can get along with. So anyway, Frank gave him my number, and so Stan called me up one afternoon. I remember on a Saturday, and I didn't even know the call was coming. I looked at my phone. I was like, it was like Milton or North Florida. I forget what the area code, 352 or something. And so I answered the phone, and he's the old Midwest guy. So he just puts it out there, and he starts talking, and he said his name was Stan. And I said, "You Stan the man, what can I do for you?" And then he started talking, and he goes, "I talked to Frank Hawley, and he said you were interested in driving an alcohol car." And he goes, "I got one that I'd like you to take a look at. It hasn't been on the track in a little bit, but I'd like you to take a look at it, and maybe I'd like to meet you. Maybe I can come down and see you race." So that went on for about a month, and he couldn't get down to Palm Beach. So I said, this is an opportunity. This is a pretty good opportunity, and this guy wants to meet me really bad. And it was in December, so I'll never forget it. I drove all the way up there. I didn't realize how far away Pensacola was from Delray Beach.
Yeah.
So I drove all the way up there, and I got there at night. And he was I don't know if probably everybody from the track remembers that he was big into poodles and poodle training and all that. So his wife was, at the Westminster Dog Show and all that. So anyway, they were just in a parade, and they told me where to meet them. So here they are. They got the two big poodles in the van. They met me in a parking lot, and they were going to take me over to Texas Roadhouse for dinner. And they got the two big poodles in the van. They open up the door, and they're like, "Get in." And I never met the guy before, So I get in, get in the back seat. The dogs are like all over me, I don't even know this guy, So anyway, we go over and we hit it off. He was very easy to talk to. And you could see he wanted to get the car back on the track. So he said, "Meet me over at my shop tomorrow, and I'll put you in the car." Well, when I got there, there was no air in the tires, and it was up. It was up on an angle, like for towing. And he told me to get in the car, and I could barely fit in the car. Then I put my helmet on in there, and it was a pretty tight car. I think it was a 19.5-inch roll cage, So that's pretty small. They always like to have you tight in the car, but geez.
Right.
So anyway, I got in the car, and he goes, "What's that feel to you?" And I was like, "It's kind of tight, but I think I'd be all right, So anyway, we made plans, and we went to the Baby Gators back in 2011. He put a motor in the car. It was his junk motor or trial motor to make sure I could drive the car, and that's how we started racing. Then we made the field and at the regular big Gainesville race. I made it. Never forget. My dad was there. My friend George was there, and we couldn't get in the field on the first pass. And then on the second pass, it was at night, usually, as it usually is on Friday night there in Gainesville. And it was really dewy. It was about 55 degrees. My face mask was all fogged up. I couldn't see much at all. Couldn't see Stan much, but anyway, we ended up getting right in the field. I think at the time, a 52 got you in the field pretty solid. I was happy to get down there. I was able to stay in it all the way through. It moved all over. The track wasn't great, but Stan was ecstatic. Stan was ecstatic. So we got in the field, and that's how we usually did it. Getting in the field with Stan was a big accomplishment right there. If we could get past first round, that really made his month. So everybody was happy if we got through first round.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing it. So do you recall what was the chassis? Was it a little bit of an older car? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was an older car. Was it a Hadman? I think it was a Hadman at the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was old. I think it was a 97.
Yeah. Well, I think it just gave me an update for the Draglist because I had a 559 at Baytown in April for you. But I think we'd always keep everybody's best ET, hopefully all ETs for the year. But We'll have to
Yeah.
go check the old Gainesville numbers there. But
Yeah.
that's fantastic. And what did he have a Brad motor in it? What was the
Yeah, that's what he had with what number 5 heads. What what do they call them? He loved the number 5 heads. That's he swore by him. He said all these people, at the time they were all the way up to number 10 or 11, and
right?
he goes, these 5s are better. I know they're better. He used to get everybody's old parts, put them in the car. I think they used to call them secondhand stand or something like
Yeah.
that. And he would make them go fast. Our best ET in that car, we did back-to-back 531s. But it was the same weekend. Bell Reichard went really fast that weekend too, like a 509 in Carolina.
Yeah.
Remember when it was cold?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went back-to-back 531s, and he's like, I wish we could have got a 20 out of it. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've got a 36 from Gainesville 2013. I mean,
mhm.
and 39s at Charlotte and
Yeah.
that's just amazing. I love it, man. I love the old guys that, just kind of out there doing it for the love, a couple tenths off, but getting it done.
That was him. That was him. So anyway, he his heart was getting weaker, and he had to go for a transplant. So I was out of racing for a couple of years there, and then Mick Phillips, they had lost their driver right at the beginning of the year. They were all geared up, and they had what's that, Troy Jr.
Yeah.
Ready to go, and then Troy got the opportunity to do pro stock racing. So Richie, he put an ad out there, and I said, "This is my opportunity. This is
Wow.
my opportunity." I really just wanted to race U.S. Nationals again. I promised everybody that I would do it again sometime. But one thing led to another, and I got to drive for Richie, and it was a really fast car. I didn't know those guys at all. I really didn't. I remember racing against them, always losing to them, but I really didn't know that. I was just, my head wasn't in the game for a while. But
Yeah.
as soon as I got the chance to drive with them, everybody knew who I was.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're living in the teens and 280 miles an hour. I mean, that
Yeah,
was a quality machine, but holy cow. I mean, and including a 512, a 281, almost 282 in
yeah,
2021, you
yeah.
know, just came real close to that, the Baby Gators. What a 16, from what I can tell. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong, was your second quickest DT after but everybody's chasing
Yeah.
that 509 that the car is that the car that you're in right now? Where
I'm not sure. I know this was Julie's car. I think it is the 509 car. This is the number one car. So
it's amazing. I tell you, it's top fuel times, man, from back in the day. Do you
yeah.
recall, Matt? John mentioned IHRA earlier. Do you remember for a time IHRA would let A fuel dragsters run in top fuel at their categories?
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Their
I just
national.
know that Clay Milliken was the king there in
Yeah, he
IHRA.
was. Yep, he was. Yeah. And I guess the President's Cup's coming back to Budds Creek now. How about that? So I
Yeah,
used to attend every one of them. Well, that's
yeah.
just amazing. Yeah, Rich McPhillips, known him for we've had him on the show and some of his drivers over the years, but I'm an old Division One guy here in Maryland, and so got to watch him race for years and years. Those guys are tough, and I don't know how anybody wins. They're, in A field race, we track all the ETs. The average guy, the mean guy in the middle is a 525. So you're getting, I mean, all time. So you're going from an 09 to a 525. And like you said, you ran a 22 the other day, and it almost got bumped.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's
Can you
not even
imagine that?
funny anymore.
Yeah, I know. I remember those days. I was always watching how fast like Don Garlits was going, when I was 10, 11 years old. And he held on to that record of that what was it, 552 or something? For the long.
563 at Ontario 1975. It lasted until Gainesville 82.
Yeah.
Jeb Allen finally went a 562. Yeah, it was crazy. That's
Yeah.
that's now you're talking my era, man. I'm just a couple years ahead of you.
Yeah.
But Let's check in with John and see what the chat gang has to say. Anybody out there with some thoughts, John?
We had one question, but
Okay.
everybody's listening to you, Matt. I mean, you're giving a great interview here, man. Your history
Sure.
is amazing. Randy Johnston asked if the 509 must be the record.
Yes, it is. 509 is the record, and that's Megan Meyer that has that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I remember a 510 got run many years ago, and it
Yeah.
was, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was the son of a top fuel guy.
Yeah, there's a bit of I mean, it's probably one of the guys from the Northwest. I can't remember. We'll have to look it up. Well, maybe we'll put
Can you look up, because I thought Rich McPhillips Jr. in Pomona, I thought he ran 510.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, hang on. I almost
That was because we always had a motor upstairs, and they go, "That's the 510 motor." And I
got
said,
it.
"Okay, can we put that in?"
Oh, it's probably in there. Yeah, I'll look it up. I almost
Yeah.
screwed up and went to the Draglist, but if I did, that would have brought the sound in front of us again. We don't want that. So.
Yeah, I think that was 2021 that he did that in Pomona, I think.
Yeah, it's
I have a question.
Yeah.
It looks to me like the A fuel cars are the top runners, but in recent years, have you ever considered going to a blown alcohol motor?
Have I would actually out west, where Cowie is and Severance is. When I was running for the championship and I didn't know if I was going to have the car available to me,
Mhm.
I looked at running a blown car for that couple of weekends there,
Yeah,
and then McPhillips was able to accommodate me, and then we gave it our best.
right.
But I would drive one. I remember I still have to stop in my brain. We don't have to push on the clutch there. When staging or anything like that. So I still have it. And then going down the track, I'm always looking for a button to push or something, for next year.
yeah. Like going from an automatic to a 4-speed in a car, man. It's a
Yeah.
I will cop to. I mean, I was actually in Florida at a business trip once when I was in an automatic. I was used to a 4-speed up here. Of course, I slammed the brake, thinking I was going for the clutch, and freaked out my fellow passenger. But
Yeah.
well, so what's the 2025 season look like for you guys? Where are you going to be racing, and what's the plan?
Okay. So he's got 16 races for me picked out.
Wow.
I know it's gonna be a big year. Um, it takes a toll on you. But we go from Gainesville here. We go to Pomona, Vegas, go to Carolina. Then we got some regional races. So I'm going to be doing North Central. So that's going to be. We actually go to Norwalk 3 times because
Wow.
there's 2 regionals,
Right.
and then there's one national event there. Got to go to Indy twice, one regional, and then one national event there. We're going to do Brainerd. Uh, uh, of course, we're going to go to Maple Grove. We're going to do both Carolina races.
Hmm.
Julie was supposed to race the Dallas race, so they kind of bumped me out of there, but we'll see what happens when that comes around. If Julie has a top fuel ride by then, I'll be able to do Dallas again because we got good memories from last year there.
Yeah.
That was quite a race. I don't know if you ever saw what happened there. I got there to that race moments before, really 2 minutes before I had to go down the track for
Wow.
for Q1. So anyway, and then I ended up winning the race, and that's usually how it happens, right? The ones that you didn't expect, and I didn't even know if I was going to make it there because of the hurricanes here in Florida. I ended up winning the race there. So we were fast. We were fast that whole weekend. So
One of the things I intended to ask, we can bring it up here. What were your favorite races, finishes, or records you've set? That's sounds like that's a big one. How about some of the other races that were especially impactful to you?
yeah, that first Norwalk race that I won, my first win, that was pretty big. We had been waiting around all day because of the rain. Um, and we didn't even think we were going to get that final round in. I was actually, I remember sitting there at the starting line, pretty similar to what was going on last night, but that was in the final round. And I was like, "Hurry up, we got to go, we got to go." I can feel it, the it's changing, and I think there was a couple of drops that hit the windshield, and I just knew we didn't have much time. So anyway, I raced Karen Stalba. She was always tough. She had her new combination there that she got off of Hart. And, she's another tough racer, good on a
Yeah.
tree. And I was lucky to get around her. She was ahead of me at 1,000 foot. And
Wow.
luckily, at that big McPhillips power took me through the finish line. So I was always lucky enough to be racing with these really fast cars. So
Pretty amazing. Well, who are
yeah.
some of the, it is like there are no gimmies in Top Alcohol or A-Fuel Dragster, but who are some of your favorite racers that you have raced again? Do you have folks you especially like to beat or folks that you just enjoy racing?
Uh, Dwayne Phillips. Dwayne Shields. He was. I remember watching him, and he won the
Yeah,
championship and all. So it was always fun to race him. Um, uh, and of course, Bill Reichert. I got to race him when I was in Stan's car, and we had a lot of respect for him, and so uh, we like that. We 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 like to hold the respect for
right,
the good racers, and he was always a gentleman.
right. Great guy. That's
And another guy, Stan's. I can't remember his name right now, but he's not. He hasn't been racing lately, and so anyway, um, it's always interesting to to see to get to race against guys that you were following, and then
right.
yeah, you're lucky enough to get in there, and Robin Samsel,
Yeah, Samsel stuff. Yeah, yeah, with Shields and Reichert. Holy cow, Shields was running 520s, I think, in the 1890s, man. It was a long time ago, you know. But
yeah.
it's great guys. Well, who are some you told us some great road stories, but what are some of your interests away from the drags? What do you like to do when you're not at the track?
Well, I used to play a lot of golf. I used to bowl a lot. I'm still a pretty good bowler. I can still golf pretty well. Um, During the racing season, I don't get to practice as much.
Right,
Um, uh, I do some gardening and all that here at my house, and so I have a truck leasing business, and always just enjoy you know uh, uh, refurbishing them and that
right.
kind of stuff, and so that pretty much takes up most of my time there.
That's pretty cool. Well,
Yeah.
do you have any shout outs to any sponsors or other folks who help you, family, friends?
Well, we had to slow down and move over the weekend with the yellow car. It was pretty neat to be able to give them a good showing. I was really
Right.
happy with that. We got some more sponsors coming up this year. I think it's okay to say that we have Gunk coming up.
Cool.
Yeah, so they're gonna be with us for quite a few races in the middle of the year. So hopefully they stay on board all the way to the end. And of course, my girlfriend Noelle, who always supports me at the track. And this was a trying weekend for sure, and it was her birthday.
Oh
And
no.
so every Gainesville race, she gets to be, you know, uh, spend her birthday up there with a bunch of racers and
Yeah.
those conditions this weekend. That was, and I'd like to always thank my dad for getting me hooked on this sport. He started, he planted the seed or set the hook for me. So he had an old 59 Corvette, and I really loved going to the racetrack with him on the weekends.
Nice. Did you guys race at West Palm Beach?
Yeah, the old West Palm Beach and what's that? Rupp. The Rupp used to own it,
Yeah.
and then of course Miami Hollywood. That was
Right.
really that was like a big time racetrack. You
Yeah.
know, you had the walk over there and the big tower, and you had you had your hot lane there in front of the stands. You know,
Right.
so all the fast cars got to line up there before we were going to make our pass down the track. So if you were in
Right.
bracket one, Super Pro or whatever, whatever they were calling it at the time, you got to park your car in front of the stands and wave to everybody. So that was really cool.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, so I really enjoyed that.
I love it. Yeah, good. A lot of good old funny car and top fuel and pro stock races back in the day at that track.
Yeah.
It was-
Remember, uh, I remember a car named Baby Huey back then,
yeah,
and that was Daryl Gwen's
yeah,
father,
Jerry Gwynn. Yeah, he
Jerry
was
Gwen. So he would just show up. You know, we'd have a bracket race going, and all of a sudden he would show up, and then he'd make a pass down the track. You know, and that's where I saw. They would have rocket cars there.
right,
Actual rocket cars.
right.
And then sometimes they even jumped cars. They had an exhibition where they jumped like 20 cars or something. That it filled the stands. It
It's
was
all
it
about
was
the show.
it was all about the show. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun.
I was lucky enough to see a rocket car once or twice myself back in the 70s. You
What was
don't
that?
see
Slamming Sammy Miller, right? Was that
Slam
it?
and Sammy. Yeah, I actually saw somebody else, but and unfortunately the gentleman passed at another race very shortly thereafter. But those things were, there you're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah, you
burn the
couldn't shut
fuel,
them
you're gonna,
off. That's what they
yeah,
said. You just put enough fuel in to get to the end of the track, right?
yep,
And
yep,
hope you didn't put too much in.
right, yeah. That's but it was cool to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Matt, let's go to John one more time and see if anybody else on the chat line or John has any thoughts.
Yes, we have a few comments here. Robert
Okay.
said, hopefully Matt will be at Lebanon Valley this July for the regional.
Yeah, it's not on my schedule, but we talked about it. It's
Okay.
not on my schedule though. We're doing North Central.
Right. He also said Randy Meyer knows what it's all about. It's also only a matter of time until he gets Julie's funny car on a par with the Killer Bees.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
if anybody can do it, that's Randy.
that's right. And I posted an answer to that. I said, yeah, the nitro cars are way ahead of the pack. It looks to me like Julie will go top fuel next year, and I wonder who'll replace her if she does.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't know who's out there that he could pick next for that funny car, but he definitely has a lot of people that come by and ask.
Heck yeah, a lot of hands up for that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
The A field cars are. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
I would think they'd be lined up outside waiting to get in it.
They are. And then Randy put a for sale sign on the back of that car. Just I don't know if it was for giggles or what the deal was, but
Oh,
and then he because they had for sale signs on all the blown alcohol funny cars
Oh, did
because
they do that?
they're mad about the nitro cars going so fast now.
yeah.
Yeah,
So once they got their head around it, what you have mixed steel going fast, right?
yeah, yeah. That was the thing. They only a couple. Scott Weiss. I don't know if you remember Scott Weiss. He
Yeah.
ran Nitro as well,
Hmm.
own Nitro, but out of
Yeah.
Virginia. I've known him and his family for years. They used to own the Richmond track actually back in the day. His dad, Jumpin'
Okay.
Joe Weiss, was an alcohol funny car racer, match racer, and then track owner. But
Hmm.
he came out and ran like 570s years ago in the IHRA when everybody else was going like 590s, and that was like okay, they're like we're not going to go with that. So for a while, and then other folks from the Midwest have tried it. Those guys, their names escape me. They have a real big parts outfit out there. I think
Hmm.
Nebraska somewhere, but anyway, I'm gonna get beat up for not remembering their names. But it's interesting. But they're not that much faster, but they're a hell of a lot. I'm told easier to get, to than to do a blown combo where you're restripping blowers, and of course, as a driver, you're not shifting and all that stuff. And it's like anything else, like Pro Mod or anything else, when you try to line up a couple of combos against one another, it's always a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, but out west, I talked to Steve Boggs, and I said, when you go out west, are you going to use the blown car? And he goes, I don't think we're going to try the blown car for Vegas, but you never know what he's going to do. But he's holding on to both, and he knows how to make them both go really fast. That
Right.
guy's a genius. That guy's a genius.
Yep.
So,
Been watching it. So I'm an Ohio boy myself. So I saw that Poison Altered they had years ago, and where they were running pro comp and going 670s at the time, when they had
mhm.
altered cars and dragsters all together. Pretty neat. Those guys know how to go fast for sure.
I know
Well,
the other name of the guy that I liked to race back then. It was Marty Thacker.
Marty
Because
Thacker.
Marty Thacker was good friends with Stan. So everything that Marty didn't like or Marty was throwing away, then Stan would pick it up and make it go fast, he said.
Got it. Yeah, it's another good old
Yeah.
Midwest guy. He was
Yeah.
really strong there with
Yeah.
especially the blown cards. I'm told he was at the time, if I'm not mistaken, if it was him, one of the fastest roots guys still
Mhm.
around when they started
Mhm.
going. But
Yeah.
lots of good stuff. Well, Matt, having a great time talking to you tonight. Where can folks find you on the internet or elsewhere if they want to follow along with Matt?
Oh, I so I got a regular Facebook page, Matt Cummings, and then on Instagram, it's Matt2380.racing. And
Okay.
so you can follow along. We've been getting quite a good following now, especially with Megan helping. She is a genius with social media and all.
She is.
And we're getting good attention out there. It's really good. She's good at what she does.
Well, so awesome. Well, any final thoughts for the fans out there before we say farewell and get you some good?
Well, we're hoping to make a good a really good year here. We're hoping for the best. I know we're with a really good team. We got Randy and Mary and Megan, Kevin, JJ, Jake, Chris and Rich. They're an awesome bunch. And so we just we expect excellence. So,
Well, I think you're on your way to getting it. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Cummings,
okay.
a fuel dragster driver extreme, and one of the guys been living in the five teens at 280, which is what it takes to play this game.
Mhm.
And have a wonderful season. Look forward to catching you down the road.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Adios.
Yeah. Bye.
All right. We'll say farewell to Matt,
Yeah.
and we'll go over to John and find out about this week's JB's take. John, take it away, sir.
Thanks, PP. I'm blessed to have two of the most talented, intelligent, and considerate sons anybody could ask for. I have no complaints about either one of them at all. They grew up to be fine gentlemen. Kyle has his own business in graphics and law, and Nick works in exotic animals and aquatic life. I'm proud of both these guys. Right now, Nick is a member of a successful heavy metal band called Chiron X. They won the Houston Battle of the Bands last month, and this weekend they're going to play two sets in Austin at the Texas State Finals. They just completed their debut album, and they have a cross-country tour coming up next month, starting in Los Angeles and finishing in New Orleans. They practice here in my jam room. I know all their stuff. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but for heavy metal, it's as good as it gets. There's a lot of worse stuff they could be doing. They've been together for a couple of years now, and they have developed an outstanding repertoire of original songs that they enhance with top-level chops, great stage presence, and an easygoing off-stage manner that has endeared them to over 1,000 fans. Kyle and I are going to Austin this coming weekend to be there for their showcase gigs. Their stage act is one of the best I've ever seen from a young band, and if they do anything like what I saw them do last month at the Metal Massacre, they should be going to the national finals next month. And that is no exaggeration. They're just that good. Chironex is named after the venomous jellyfish that is found in the Indo-Pacific Ocean. Its sting is always fatal. It's a unique species that isn't found anywhere else in the world, and it's an original name for their band. It fits. Their album is titled The Crucible of Brutal Opposition. The text of their CD reads as follows: a musical tone of mythical heroes and terrifying creatures from beyond, tales of dire straits and uniting against a common enemy. The laws of the jungle are in full effect, and on March 19th, you may have such terrors on all platforms, including various physical formats. Be ruthless or be prey. The album cover is designed by Brian Eckerman. The artwork is illustrated by Steve White at Sharks Bite Steve on Instagram. Alex, Skylar, and Nick have been playing together off and on for a few years. This is the third full band that Nick has played in. He started off on guitar. When he got to where he could play circles around me, he decided to switch to drums, and he's now one of the top drummers in this region. His keyboard playing is beautiful, but he's focused on playing drums with Chironex now. Scott Berman, the drummer for the City Kings, was his initial inspiration to play drums when Nick was a kid. They are now the best of friends. At City Kings practice, we play 2 sets. The first is with Nick, and then when Scott shows up, Nick hands the sticks to him, and we play from there. It's hard to tell the two of them apart if we're not looking at the drum kit. They sound very much alike. But back to Chironex. Last year, they brought in Donnie Sage on vocals. Donnie is a charismatic and creative frontman. He's just what the doctor ordered for this band. He's taken them to the next level with his singing and onstage power, passion, and magnetism. With Donnie, the final piece of the puzzle was put in place. The sky's the limit for this band now, and I am 100% behind them to make it to the top. As I said before, they are unassuming and easygoing guys. They know what they have, but they're not on a rock star trip. They're very down to earth and supportive of their competition in the music scene, and that to me is one of the most important attributes that a band could have. I played in bands that were critical of other groups, and they had an attitude about themselves that came off as a negative image to other bands. Chironex is friendly and appreciative of others' music, and as good as they are, they don't act like a bunch of stuck-up pricks. They are good guys, and everybody likes them. That's a key element in the process of becoming successful, and they do it quite well. Their music is dark, deep, loud, and powerful. It slams you in the gut and rips your head off. It does what it's supposed to do. It's all good. They deserve a big break, and they're earning it with their hard work. I want the stars to line up and open the door for them after the big time, to enter the big time. What they already have done has put them at the top of the heap in this region. I'm very proud of what they've accomplished, and I wish them the best going forward. Everybody stay safe and well. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. It's a great way to spend an hour together on a Monday night. And we'll see y'all next time. God bless America. Back to you, BP.
Thank you, John. Cool stuff, man. I can't wait to hear those guys. I'll have to make myself a trip down to Texas and,
Well,
and catch the app.
their CD's coming out March the 19th.
Awesome, cool. Well, I want to special notice, special alert this week. John did it last week. I get to do it this week because today in the mail, thanks to Jeff Elliker, our friend, the Band of Gypsies Nitro Funny Car T-shirt arrived. Proud to wear this bad boy. Take a look. It's awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Much appreciated, my friend, and I'm proud to represent. Very cool stuff. And one of my other good friends is Miss Kay Terkelson, and she has got us set up with a bunch of great guests. However, next Monday night, I am traveling, taking a little bit of a family reunion. So we're not going to have a show on March 17th. When we come back on March 24th, we're going to be talking to Christy Sudum, the front engine dragster driver out of California, who not only drives that bad boy, but tunes it, works on it. She's very tough. Can't wait to talk with her. On the 31st of March, Wally Fuller, the Nitro Funny Car Match Racer, is going to join us. And I just can't wait to check in with Wally. Got lots of questions about his cool cars over the years, and we'll find out what he's doing today. On April 7th, my friend Dan Pettinato with the Rat Poison AA Fuel Altered will be joining us. So looking forward to that. And those guys flat fly. On the 14th, we're looking for a guest. But on the 21st, Ida Zetterstrom, the top fuel dragster driver, the European champ, who's making a splash in the NHRA this year, will be joining us on April 21st. On the 28th, we're going to talk with Mike Lewis, our good old friend, a former top fuel racer himself and a team manager for some of the top NHRA teams in the sport. Mike Lewis on the 28th. And then on May 5th, Matt Hagan, the big guy himself, returns to Draglist Live to tell us all about his NHRA funny car racing plans for 2025. He's already out there mixing it up. Looking for guests for May 12th, May 19th, Memorial Day. We'll take the day off, and then we'll talk about the rest of the year coming up. But thank you to Kay for getting us those great guests, and please come back and see us for those fantastic guests. Going on to those we lost. Now, we didn't get a chance to mention the folks we lost last week, so we're going to catch up a little bit. But some huge names here. On the 3rd of March, we lost Steve Schmidt, one of the most driven men in the history of the drag racing game, one of the top engine builders in about the toughest class to build engines in NHRA Pro Stock. He passed away of natural causes at the age of 74 on the 3rd of March. He was terrific. And I mean, the drag racing lists, and I've got, we got 125,000 of them now, entries, but so many pro stock cars powered by Steve Schmidt motors, driven by Steve Schmidt himself and partners. He's terrific. John, a thought?
Yes, I didn't know about Steve Schmidt, but one of my races of the week from a couple of years ago ran a Steve Schmidt big block Chevy in his Altered over at Santapod, and the guy just kept winning. And Steve Schmidt also gave Bob Glidden a car to drive when Bob decided to make a comeback. He drove a Steve Schmidt car, but he hit the wall with it, and that's when Bob Glidden said, "I'm not going to mess up my friend's car anymore. I'm out of it."
I recall, right?
Hats off to Steve Schmidt. He was a great guy.
Absolutely. And yeah, so farewell, sir. Also on the 3rd of March, Kevin Haugard, great racer with a Dodge Dart and stock eliminator, passing away. Our friends in the sportsman ranks get equal billing here at Draglist. Farewell to you, sir. On the 4th of March, Gene Winfield passed away. Ladies and gentlemen, a legendary custom car builder and hot rod pioneer. He revolutionized the automotive world with his innovative designs and techniques. His legacy lives on through countless builders that Gene mentored and all the iconic cars he created. And they continue to inspire generations of automotive enthusiasts. And he's also a drag racer. So we've got Gene Winfield, a 1953 Draglist entry for one of his dragsters. So he did it all. We ran a couple stories about Gene. I felt like we may have had him on the show before. I know we tried, and I think it just fell through. But our best to the friends and family of Gene Winfield, truly one of the icons in our sport and in the entire automotive world, passing away on the 4th. Also on March 4th, Kenny Kuntz with a K, the big block Chevy stock eliminator racer. Just a massive big old Chevy that he'd whipped down the track, and well regarded by a lot of folks. Got some love from Brett Kepner online too, said farewell KK. So obviously well known within the, of course, Brett knows all the sportsmen because he's just terrific, and he takes care of the sportsman guys and remembers everything they do as well. On the 9th of March, we lost TJ Bailey. He was a well-loved Texas Motorplex track prep team member. And so farewell to TJ. On the 10th, Dennis Oliver passed away, and he's another racer who just drove a big old gigantic Chevy stock eliminator car. I think a Caprice or an Impala, whatever the heck it was. But I do want to just wish the family and friends of these racers comfort, and thanks, guys, for the thrills over the years. We're proud to remember you. And so with that, I'm close to saying farewell. John, your final thoughts on the show, sir?
I thought Matt Cummings gave us a great interview tonight, and it looks like his year is getting off to a terrific start.
Mm-hmm.
I want to wish him the best in Charlotte when he finishes up this round in Top Alcohol Dragster. And he was a fountain of information. He said so many things that I'd never heard before, and I really appreciated him coming on the show with us. And thanks to Kay for getting him lined up for us.
Heck yeah. I mean, I really liked him. I hadn't met Matt before, but low key and cool, just matter of fact. And here's a shout out, guys, if you're and gals, if you want to get into the game, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. He's the original. There's many of them out there, and they're all good.
Yes,
But
sir.
I mean, there you go. I mean, I can. If you go look on the drag list, there are a number of racers who started there first, and Matt Cumming is one of them. So great to hear about Stan Stripe too. I mean, talk about going back into the drag lists. Stan Stripe, UDRA top alcohol racer, just one of the guys that was out there slamming it. I believe, I have to go look. I think that was even a Chevy powered car way back then. It was just pretty cool. So Stan Stripe, glad to see him out. Glad to see him give Matt that shot. And then Matt jumped into the, frankly, potentially, or I guess it's hard to say, but the top two of the top cars in the A Fuel game, and he's doing his job. So fantastic.
Well, I
Anyway,
just
go
Pete
ahead.
says good night from Los Angeles, and Rob McCabe says good night, and everybody says good night. And I'd like to say good night, Mrs. Calabash.
Yeah, wherever you are. All right. Hey, good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So we want to thank Matt Cummings, who was terrific, John Bockelman, my brother Kate Turkelson, and Rob McCabe, who was joining us tonight, Mel Bashore and Ron Toombs. Those guys are just rocking on the drag list. Rob McCabe has been burning up. I mean, there's more sportsman entries on the drag list, fast door slammer entries, than I've ever had. He's going crazy. And he told me today what his plans are, which is to get 4 or 5 other events, to include the March meet, to include Gainesville, to include several other, several of the door slammer races, the pro street cars. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there's another guy that used to do that all the time, and I was into the pros, but Rob's just doing an amazing job. So we want to thank Danny White forever, our buddy, who got us started on this bad boy and did so many great entries over the years. I was just looking at our all-time lists of the contributors. Every time you update the drag lists, you can go to our drag racing search page. Every time you update it, it credits the person who does the update. And Danny is still out there by far the vast majority of the updates. It'll take lots of people a long time to catch up. And a lot of our, all of our photographers are shown the same way too. And every time we use a photographer and a photo and credit it, it's listed on our list. So it's a little bit of a competition over, and it's all time. It's great people helping us out. The worldwide Draglist volunteer army, we call it. Thanks also to Jeff Gilder of Zeus Digital Marketing, Racers Reunion, and Wingding Media. As we said earlier, click the like down below, click the share button, and way over here in the bottom corner, that little Draglist icon will let you subscribe to the channel. So please do that. Check in draglist.com every day to see what's new. And finally, I invite you to join us on March 24th to talk to Christy Sudum. Until then, I'm going to say farewell and